Hi everybody, Ross and my Hammmers 11. Hope you're all safe and well. Today's guest, well, during lockdown, we've all tried to do things, learn the ukulele, bake some banana bread, start a YouTube channel, nostalgic one, interviewing fans and ex-players about their memories of West Ham and their lives. And some of us amongst us, I don't know, sign an exclusive podcast deal with Spotify. Which one's Jack? No. Banana bread, him and Fiona. No, they're definitely no. For those who don't know, obviously Jaackmaate, Jack Dean. Jack is a podcaster and a YouTuber. I always say podcaster first because that's where I got to know Jack very well through his podcast, and obviously exclusively available through Spotify, the full episodes. And he's doing, as the kids say, absolute bits at the moment. It was like fifth, wasn't it? I was looking, was it like fifth or whatever? Your podcast was it?
Oh, mate, it's mad. It's mad. It's still surreal when I go on there and click on the charts and it's at the top. It's like, who's listening to this? it's
Lots
mad.
Of people, man.
Yeah, I'm very honoured.
No, it's brilliant.
More honoured to be on air, mate. More honoured to be on air.
It's to be honest, it's an accolade many people are waiting to be on. But no, and that's the thing. It's like, and obviously Jack is a massive West Ham fan. We see he figured out how to do the emojis. God, I sounded like I was like a really old man just then. But so Jack's a massive West Ham fan. So, and that was sort of great for me because obviously I've been following Jack for many years, obviously for the YouTube stuff and obviously then the Happy Hour podcasts. And it was like when you had that announcement, I was like, oh, it was like really sort of like, because I know how much you've grafted, and it's like, it's so nice to see one of our boys done good. Do you know what I mean?
Thank you, mate. Really... No, I appreciate that, mate. Yeah, no, fucking, really, yeah. I'm not, don't know if I'm allowed to swear on here, am I?
Of course you can. Of course you can.
Yeah,
as long as you don't drop the C, you're all right, man. So I won't be demonetized, as you know. But yeah, it's awesome, man. It's really good, and it's like, as I said, he's been doing absolute bits, and I know how much he grafts. And although every time me and Jack seem to try and chat to each other, he's stuck on the service stations having a Greg. So it's nice for him to have a conversation without a sausage roll in his hand. So there we go.
I know. I mean, like, I woke up today of all days, and I was like, I'm going to start a fitness journey today. Like, I'm going to start and get a bit more fit. And then I went downstairs literally before we recorded this and had a bag of Monster Munch, pickled onion. So it's an endless cycle, mate. Greg's and Monster Munch.
Yeah, why you should do a brand deal with Greg's. I'm being funny with the meal deal stuff you do. But no,
I'd love to.
Exactly. Get that black card. Get that Greg's back card.
Yeah,
it'd be awesome, man. But apart from obviously being an incredibly busy man, so we're very, very happy for you found the time to chat more. Anything. How have you been? Like, normally, you all right?
Yeah, I'm all right, mate, to be fair. I'm all right. I mean, I do like being busy. It's one of them ones where when I'm busy, I always wish I wasn't as busy. But then when I'm not busy, you always wish like grass is always greener on the other side. Yeah. So this year with the podcast and whatnot and everything that's happened with that, I've kind of taken the time to actually appreciate being busy because obviously we all went through that terrible kind of like lockdown period where stuff was a bit more difficult to do. So especially during that time, it made me realize, like, it made me crave actually doing stuff again. So now, I mean, I'm very, very lucky I'm able to carry on doing my job, even if we were to have another lockdown. So I have to sort of touch wood on that and appreciate what I have there. But yeah, all good, mate. All busy, all good, all happy. What about you?
Oh, I'm not bad. I'm all right. Keeping busy, keep my nose clean, keep out of trouble. As I said, this is keeping me busy, which is nice during that's why I started it. Because I was sitting around like I'd watched, you'd watch Tiger King and you'd watch everything. And I was like, do you know what? I'm really fucking bored. And I've had enough of watching Australian reality TV shows. That's all my wife watches. Australia. Yeah, because it was Australia Married at First Sight, and it was Australia. It seemed to be Australian Love Island, and wherever it was on Netflix. Oh, and she winds me up. She's always binge watched the third series of Riviera already. I was like, well, that's me done, isn't it? That's me done.
I'll tell you. During lockdown, I really got upset, and I am not this kind of person at all. I'm like you, Russ. So, like, if my girlfriend watches any of that kind of crap TV, I'm not into it. Luckily, she doesn't. But I got into I think it was an American show. It was called 90 Day Fiance, and I really got into it, mate. And there's new episodes coming out on Amazon Prime every Friday. And like my partner would want to go out and like, go for a run or something. I'll be like, nah, I'm watching this 90 Day Fiance. I've really got to find out what happens between Brett and Clive. I have no idea why. And then once that stopped, because I've completed the whole series, I was sort of lost. Didn't know what to do.
Yeah.
Did some work after that.
I know, isn't it? It's like work's a distraction. And that was like with football as well. It's like, I mean, that's why we started the channel. That's why it went quite well, because there was no football and everyone was like craving something. And so we came up with the idea and it sort of took off. And then we had that sort of like from restart, we had that massive binge of football, like an avalanche, 4 games a day. And it was like the World Cup, wasn't it? And it just mental.
Yeah, it was
and then
class.
it just went, it was really good. Are you a crowd noise on or off person?
I'm 100% on. I can't have it off.
Yeah.
I can't have it off. Are you off?
Nah. Even when I'm at the stadium, I'm on.
Yeah. No, I know. It doesn't feel right for me. It feels like a friendly, like a pre-season friendly, or like a training match, like without it on. So I have to have it on. I don't think I think the longest I've gone without it on, without the crowd noise on, is probably about 10 minutes. Just can't do it. It just feels weird. Feels dystopian.
Yeah, it's a good word. Good word. And you're right. And I think it's, I switch it off. If I'm watching an away game, I switch it over just so I can hear someone swear. Just because it's nice to someone go fuck off, and then the commentator tries to apologise for having rude language. Like,
it's like a couple of years ago. Do you remember before COVID and everything? I think this was years ago in the World Cup or the Euros when Joe Hart was screaming for the ball back and he was, give me the fucking ball to the fans. I was like, wow, these players actually do talk and swear and stuff. And now it's just like it's commonplace. You hear it every week. So
yeah, it's crazy, man. It's crazy, but no, it's I think everyone's quite adjusted to it now. It's quite weird. I think everyone's craving to get back, but I think to be fair, a lot of people get a better view than they do if they were going to see it live, and there's no risk of anything affecting them, so to speak. So it's as long as teams keep winning, as long as West Ham obviously a bit of a roll at the moment, so long may it continue.
Tell me about
weekend. So,
mad run of form. 4-0, 3-0, all going on. However, on the day we were on this, have you seen the Ben Rama news just come out a minute ago?
Yeah. There we go. Dan's got injured. Okay.
Oh God. Do you know what's wrong with him?
No. Well, apparently someone reckons it's a knock he got at the internationals, but I didn't think he played the second game, or he might be on the bench. But but it would be funny if we got Andy Carroll and Jack Wilshere through fitness tests. I'm sure Ben Rama can pass it. You know what I mean? The guy has 7 goals last season, so we'll see what happens. But it's just being a West Ham fan, Jack, isn't it? And everyone doesn't. It's not done to. It's not done until they've got the shirt or the scarf outside. The training ground. So he'll be brilliant if we got him. He'll be brilliant. Exactly what we need. I just think so. Just like that flair player that we all crave, and we get him every sort of cyclical. So every sort of few years, one comes along. So if it's Joe Cole or a Di Canio or Payet, not saying as good as Payet, but no, I think it's good, man. And and hopefully we can get it all sorted. Although I think that means if he hasn't signed now, I don't think he might be able to play in time
against Spurs.
No.
Yeah, I thought he had to be confirmed by 12 to play against Spurs, but
I think so.
Who knows, mate? Who knows?
Yeah, who knows? But we'll see what happens. But no, it's been all but part of a West Ham fan, as you know, Jeff, for many years. So 100%.
I've got to say, I heard you. I heard you on another episode you did. I can't remember exactly who you were talking to because I watched so many in one go. But you were talking about your first memory. Actually, no, it was the introduction video you did on your channel, and you were talking about your first memory when you went to Upton Park and you played Oxford, and Oxford scored in the first minute, and your granddad turned to you and went, "You got a lifetime with this, son." I was just like, that is bang on.
True.
Yeah,
it's so true.
Yeah.
It is though.
You wouldn't change it for the world, would you?
No, you wouldn't change it for the world. And someone I spoke to someone the other day, and they were saying, "Oh, I wouldn't want to win the league." And I was like, "Do you know what? I know what you mean. Because I think we'd always be, even if we won the league, we'd moan that we didn't score enough goals, or we conceded too many, or we're going to put out a weakened side in the Champions League. That's just us. That's just being a West Ham fan. I likened it to, playing the guitar. And when you learn the guitar, you have to get your fingers callous, don't you? Just so you can start pushing hard on the strings. And that's like being a West Ham fan. You're calloused towards any sort of. So even this sort of run we're going on, we know, Tottenham. Everyone's quite confident we're going to beat Spurs, and fair enough. And then if we play Burnley or whatever, they go, "Oh, we're going to lose that one." That's what we know.
Yeah,
it's like, enjoy it while you can. You know what I mean? It's like
yeah,
it doesn't happen very often, man. It doesn't happen very often.
I know what you mean.
But anyway, the first question I always ask is, "What's your favourite meal?" No. The first question I always ask is why you're a West Ham fan, Jack? Because I know you're a Norwich boy, but why West Ham?
I didn't. Much like a lot of people, I didn't have a choice in the matter. My dad is West Ham, has been his whole life, so he's from that kind of sort of way. Well, more so that way than I am, being down in Norwich. And when I was a baby, I think I was about 2 or 3 months old, he put a West Ham beanie hat on me. I've got pictures of the hat almost looking like a sleeping bag of how big it is compared to my head. And didn't really have a choice. Just brought me up on it. I always say that he's the only West Ham fan in the country that's actually a glory hunter, because he was a QPR fan until he was 10. And then West Ham won the FA Cup. I think that was when Trevor Brooking scored that diving header in the 1980 FA Cup final.
Yeah.
And all his friends were QPR fans. He was from a family of QPR fans, and he went, quite like West Ham, so he just changed at 10 years old. So that was the only glory they ever got from there. He thought that was going to be a running theme. Wasn't.
No, it wasn't. That was it. 40 years on, still waiting. I was the same. I had supported him in like 92, 93, the season he went up from the champion. What was the Division 1? What was the championship previous? And so people call me a glory hunter as well, because we were beating Oxford United 3-0, Cambridge United 2-0. But it's I don't think anyone can claim West Ham fans being glory hunters. But
no.
It's funny. A lot of people do that. A lot of people support West Ham because of that 1980 FA Cup final, because they were like, "What's all that one? Oh, well, they've won. Brilliant. Okay, fantastic."
Yeah. And that was a one-off. Imagine if you got to pick your international teams and you picked Greece after they won like Euros 2004 or something like that. That's how it.
Can't see anything wrong. Can't see any economical disasters happening in Greece. There we go. Can't see any double-dip recession. No. There we go.
We're the Greece of club football. We are the Greece of club football.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I know. And it's just like, but as you said, again, I just think because we don't win anything, because things like the Ben Rama thing happens, we just have this sort of like this weird, we're different compared to other fans. I think definitely, you know what I mean. We just have this sort of, this sort of joy in our own pain. We know we're going to. We're going down there. We'll go for a pub pint afterwards, and we'll come home and we'll go. Yeah, that's it. We'll D Series link match of the day, and then my wife doesn't need to tell me how West Ham have done. The first thing I do is walk in. They might be watching The Voice, or whatever. Unseries link. Oh, he lost today. Anyway, what time's the curry arriving? But yeah,
class. Sadoist or something, is that what they call it? Someone who's addicted to pain, sadoist, sadoist, something like that.
That's what we are. That's what we are. We're not in it for the football, are we?
No,
we back the wrong horse if we were. But and that's what half the fun is. It's just like being that sort of West Ham. And I think that's why other fans sort of are slightly, jealous of us in that respect. I have on this channel, we have people like Arsenal fans, Tottenham fans, Liverpool fans all message me and say, I watch the channel because it's really fun, because we don't have anything like this, and it's like nice hearing sort of this sort of community. And it's like a community. It's like a little family.
Yeah, 100%.
So yesterday we had and back, Claret and Blue TV, little Isla, it's her birthday coming soon, and they raised £1,000 in a couple of hours. Just doing a bit of a phone-a-thon. Awesome.
Yeah,
it just shows
top work.
Yeah, it is. I mean, we did 20,000 in September for Iron Supporting Food Banks without blinking an eye. It's amazing fans. And then obviously since being sort of like the beanie hat placed on your head from the age of 2, although I can beat that. I put my daughter in the playoff trophy within 2 days of her being born. So yeah, her due date was the playoff final, and
oh wow,
and I had a really good seat. So I was at Wembley, and and so yes, she was in part. And it just gets in your clothes. You can't get once you're in. You can't really get out. Of it. So, but yeah, obviously since then, as you said, big West Ham fan, obviously. And do you remember your first game?
Yeah, I do. I think I can't remember the exact timings. I think maybe I was about 13, 15. I'm not too sure, but I got given some West Ham tickets off my mum and dad in a birthday card. I remember I cried because I'd never been before, and it was Upton Park, obviously, and it was a 5th round FA Cup replay against Bolton. And we done them. Bolton were a bogey team of West Ham's back then. I remember we were losing against them all the time in the league. They had Kevin Davies up top and whatnot, and we beat them 2-1. It went to extra time. I think Marlon Harewood may have scored the winner quite late on in extra time, and there was flares thrown on the pitch, and obviously it was underneath the floodlights because I think it was a Monday night game, and it was just the most magical moment ever. And I remember coming out of the stadium, and when they make like a little highlights package and play it to some music, like of what you've just seen as you're walking out. And at the time, Niles Barkley, "Crazy" was like the big song, and that was one of my favourite songs anyway at the time. So I've come out and just like walking with my dad, and I look up at the screen, watch the highlights of what I'd just watched anyway, and it was just the most magical moment. And now from then on, like that song is just like a firm favourite of mine. And whenever I hear that song, it just takes me back to like Upton Park, underneath the floodlights, that special night. Yeah, it was just that was amazing. So I couldn't have really asked for a better first game.
Of course not, and it's one of those things when it comes to music and things like that, and smells, how something a couple of bars of a track or a smell can take you back. It's like when I smell cheap burgers, it takes me back to Green Street and walking along, and Christ knows what they were cooking. But that and as you said, some songs as well. So even now, if on the radio, or I don't know, something like like Twist and Shout comes on the radio, whatever, I start thinking we've won the game, because that's the only time I play it is when we play Twist and Shout. I don't do it very often until recent years. So I love that type of stuff. And as you said, it's about sort of the memories and the sensory sort of. And because of that, I don't think they haven't interviewed anyone. I think I want to say, Jack, I think you're our 200th guest. I think.
Oh wow. Wow,
I think so. And if you are, it's an illustrious career, illustrious group, because we've had Chesney Hawkes, he was our 50th. Chris Akabusi was our 100th, and you are too. I think you are too. But anyway, for the 199 or 200, people don't say, I went to the first game and that was it. I was like, yeah, okay, it was all right. I didn't bother going back. Everyone was like, right, first game, walked in, that's it. I'm never gonna. That's the team I support, and that's it. And then you blink, and you've been a supporter for like 20 years, 25 years without even thinking about it. And
it's insane. It is insane. My dad's first game was I think it was a Boxing Day game. To be fair, although he's been a West Ham fan all his life, it was only about 5 or 6 years before I went to my first game that he managed to get down. But his first game was a 5-0 win against Charlton on Boxing Day, and I think it was Boxing Day, and I think Di Canio may have scored a hat trick that day. I'm not entirely sure. I may have got the bits wrong there, but I mean, what a first game! What a first game! You can't get much better than that. You really can't.
No. You're right, and it's like and then some people I know that my first game we'd lost 3-0 to Norwich or someone like that, and they go, do you know what? But that was perfect. I didn't care what the score was, because it was like I was in it, and actually. You're hardened at an early age. Then you don't think it's going to be 5-0 every game, which is not too bad. So as I said,
it's like losing your virginity. It's never a bad time.
It's never a bad time because it's out. You've got that one. Overs. So Oh dear. I wish to find out once. I had a daughter, so at least had it once in my life. But it's funny how much gets revealed in these things when people just chat. But no, it's all good. But as you said, it's just it's a magical place. I think it's a magical club, and you just see now, when everyone pulls together, the type of things they do, and. There's all there's lots of discontent in the world and stuff, but it's nice to see West Ham to the guys all putting together and things for the charities and stuff, and obviously I know the story why you don't go about you and the London Stadium, and I just think, to be honest, everyone's everyone's a West Ham fan, and it doesn't matter where they come from as long as they support the club, and we've interviewed guys fucking from India to Las Vegas and everyone in between, and everyone's a West Ham fan, man. And it's I just think it was I think unfortunately that incident was very much the minority, isn't it? The loud minority, isn't it? We know
That's what I was trying to say on the podcast about it being a minority, but like being somebody that like likes to see themselves as a bit of a comedian, a bit of a storyteller, like that's a story that I can pull on quite easily. So if anything, for me, like I'm a West Ham fan. Like I love West Ham. I love West Ham fans. Like I see it as part of being part of a club, being part of a family. But I'm still going to banter the fuck out of it because that's what I do. Yeah, and to be fair, that guy and his pals. I'm not sure if your audience know the story, but I just had a season ticket at London Stadium, and this guy just gave me shit for a year just because I've been given my ticket. But I get what he was going on about. Like he's probably a bit of a grafter, and he has to pay for his ticket, and then I just come along and get given mine. But I mean, which West Ham fan out there, if they were offered a season ticket to the first year we're at London Stadium and their dad a ticket to get their dad a ticket as well, is not going to take it. And what I was trying to say, Russ, in that other pod, which I don't think I mentioned, is because I'd been privileged enough to have been given that, I could have then been lazy and not turned up to games because it's like, well, I didn't pay for it anyway. So I'd have come. But my love of the club, I was like, with me and my dad are still going every single week. So I didn't think, although I was in a very privileged position, I didn't think I was any different to any other fan. I was still there to enjoy and support the team. But yeah, I have a lot of banter with West Ham fans, but really, it's all love. I don't really take it too serious.
No, exactly. And I mean, it's happened with Spence as well, and there was an incident with Spence and the away trips. And I just think, I think people are, if everyone's in a different position, looking there, as you said, if someone offered you a free West Ham ticket, yes, and also for your dad, which must have been amazing to give your dad a free ticket as well.
Yeah, 100%.
And so, I mean, it is what it is, and it's like me. It's like they are. When I've been doing the DJ, it was 20 seasons now, I think now, and it's like sometimes people give me a little shit. It's like, why did you play that song? You jinxed us. No, sorry, you ginked us. They put it with G, so it's like I pasted you. I ginked you. It's like, God, fucking hell. Sorry, the club, the players were going to be, all right, we're going to win today. Hang on. Russ is playing Foo Fighters. That's it. We're turning it off now. That's it. We're going to, it's like,
yeah, it's mad. It's mad.
And also, the fact is, you don't live around the corner. You live in Norwich, and I know for a fact that is a trek and a half getting down from London to Norwich.
Yeah, actually, I mean,
go on.
Go on.
No, go on. You go first, man. Go on.
Like it is a bit of a trek, like 2.5 hours, like it's 5-hour round trip on a Saturday. I'm not going to make out like it's the worst thing in the world. Like Gio, for example, like he comes from Scotland and whatnot. So you got to give credit where it's due. But this bloke, this specific one that was making my life a bit of misery there. He was definitely an East London lad. Like he's round the corner. So like, if you're going to give me, don't call me a plastic when I'm probably like traveling way further than you. Like Gio, if he called me a plastic, I'll probably go, fair enough, mate. Like but someone like that, not so much.
No, exactly. Actually, I was about to say, I'm doing that drive next week. So yes, I'll be off to Cromer. Glamping.
Oh, are you? Why are you going to Cromer?
Glamping in Cromer.
So lovely stuff.
How middle class am I? Glamping. And I do like. To be honest, never been. I've got the caravan in. Here we go, Caister on Sea. So I like Caister and great.
Norfolk coast. Love it.
That's what we do. Love it. So so it's going to piss down next week. So guaranteed because we're going glamping. It's the first time I've managed to get my wife in a tent in 10 years. That sounds really weird. Said it like that, but it's got to be glamping. So it's got to be have a plug to put the hair straighteners in and stuff. So obviously not for me, obviously. But so that'd be fun. Long gone. They weren't as long as before lockdown. My wife decided to cut my hair for me, and I gave her my beard trimmer, and I had alopecia by the end of it. It looked like, because it's not the same thing. I thought it'd be the same thing, but it wasn't. But so it's going to be this
you live and learn.
Yeah. You literally do. It's all part. It's all part of the tapestry of life. But Anyway, let's get into this 11 because I know you've been sort of there's been last minute transfer changes as well, and I know a lot of heartache into this 11. So as I said, everyone we've had on the channel has picked an 11 bar Harry Redknapp, Ian Bishop, and Nigel Reo-Coker. They haven't picked 11s; they got out of it. But everyone else I've insisted. And
what did they do?
So, well, Harry Harry started to do it and then realised he didn't have enough. He had so many players he could pick, so he didn't want. So he just spoke about players that he loved playing with rather than the knowledge. And he was a bit strapped for time as well. Bless him. He turned up 20 minutes late and had to call with Americans. And Bish didn't want to just piss anyone off. So that's the type of man Bish is. And Nigel, well. Nigel's Nigel. He's a complex individual, and he was like, "I'd let the fans decide on the best 11 with me in." Okay, Nigel.
Right,
God bless you. God bless you. Yeah, strange character by all accounts. But so anyone else? So the idea is you pick an 11 based on the players you've been alive to see play. So the idea being is, if we said, "Oh, what's your ultimate 11?" It would always be Robbie Moore and Joe Rogan, but you weren't there to see him, so. Not fair you put them in, so that's it, man. You can play whatever formation you want, doesn't matter. It's all players that mean something to you. So what we'll do is we'll start off in goal. So who's in goal for the Jack 11?
Right, okay, so I've gone for kind of like, I'll tell you now, my 11, they're not sort of like, I've not thought too much outside the box. I've gone for 11 that have given me at least a big moment each. So some of them are the best in that position, I think, undisputably. Some not so much. And I think my goalkeeper is probably the weakest of the 11. I've gone for Adrian. Yeah, which is a bit of a mix up. I know, obviously, now with he's at Liverpool and he's getting his flappy hands all over the place and his misplaced short passes and stuff. And
it's nice to see, isn't it?
Yeah. I can finally enjoy it now. It's happening to a top club. But when it was happening for us, especially in that first season we were at the London Stadium, it was a bit of a nightmare. But I have to have him in there because of the passion that he showed to the club, which you don't often really get as a goalkeeper. Like a lot of them are quite reserved and whatnot. They spend more time shouting at their defence, so they do turning around and sort of geeing the crowd up. But with Adrian, you could tell he really loved the club, and that penalty shootout against Everton. I'm not sure if many people have picked Adrian on your series before, but that would definitely be a moment that would have come up. I'm sure when he took them gloves off, it went round and it's finally his turn to take the penalty against. Was it Robles in goal for them? I think it was Robles.
Something like that. Ruben Robles, something like
that. And I mean, I think there was so many penalties taken. It got to the goalkeeper, so it must have been about the 11th penalty or whatever. And the confidence that Adrian had to have had to take his gloves off and throw them before hitting the ball. Imagine if he'd missed and he had to go back and pick his gloves back up and put them on.
Well, he had to get someone to put them on because he couldn't put one glove on. So he put one glove on and he couldn't get the other one on. So like, come here, Winston. Yeah.
So I just think moments like that, and then obviously the celebration where he's just run and just knee slid and stuff. How often do you get to see a goalkeeper do a knee slide like that? Like not often. So I think, although he was not the best goalkeeper, I think he'd probably be the first to tell you that. He was a weird one, wasn't he, Russ? Because he'd have like 4 or 5 great saves in a row, and there'd be like that split moment where we've got prime Manuel Neuer, and then he'd like overhead kick the ball into his own net or start doing keepy up punches or something. It's like, what is this guy about? He was like the Jekyll and Hyde of goalkeeping, but he gave me a lot of entertainment just watching him, and I think what really cemented him as a fan favourite for me, especially, was Mark Noble's testimonial. I was lucky enough to go to that one, and when he ran the length of the pitch and put it in the net, I was like, this guy's up for a laugh, and I can really buy into that.
Yeah, you're right, and I think he's a typical West Ham player because he just embodies West Ham. West Ham turn up 3-4 times a season, all prime 11. It's like wow, and then we're absolute dog shit for another 6 games, and that was a bit like Adrian, bless him. He would have a really good game, and you hope he had a really good game against a Tottenham rather than a West Brom or something like that. But no, he was good fun, weren't he? Yeah. It was a good chat. I like that. I agree with it.
Did many pick him?
Again, it's a generational thing. So he has come up quite a bit because of that. So we've had a few commentators and stuff like that who've done they're commentators 11, and they haven't had the chance before to say, and here comes the goalkeeper. And it was like the football version of a mic drop, wasn't it? Really, it was like that's it. The gloves are off. done. You know, a bomber mic drop moment, but no, he was a man. Right, we'll go into defense.
Perfect.
Now I know you've got 4 defenders. We're not going to go into any position, just because in case you put on the wrong positions or whatever, because I'm a shit that. Right, so go with the first defender. Who's your first defender?
Yeah, it's because like I texted you earlier, I've seen you have a lot of fans on it. They know football inside out. My knowledge of West Ham's fairly decent, but when it position, like who's a left back, who's a right back, I don't really know. I'll just watch the game. I don't study the stats or whatnot. So my first defender. I mean, probably a very, very, very. All of these are going to be common picks, but I've gone for Winston Reid just because I think he's an. If it wasn't for the injuries, he'd be even more of a club legend than he is now. And again, mate, I'm not breaking any boundaries here. I'm sure a lot of people have mentioned this, but that last goal he scored at Upton Park in that final game when we beat Man United 3-2, and I didn't go to the game. I couldn't go, but I've heard a lot of people talk about being there, and that Gio, I mentioned him because I know he was there, and that was his best moment as a West Ham fan. And I just try and imagine what that was like to be in the stadium that night, because I was sat at home just glued to my computer, just watching it, and mate, it must have been magical, eh?
It was a weird day because I was on jury service that week. No, I wasn't on. I was a member of the jury. That week. So, but luckily my case got deferred to the afternoon, so I drove up to the ground early, and there's a guy writing a book about the last game of the bowling, a guy called Danny Lewis, and so I've done an interview for him. And the idea was that I got there early, like 8 o'clock, and spent like 3 hours walking around the ground when there's no one there, and it was just amazing. You know, I had a piss in the changing room. Sat at my granddad, and it was just a mental day because like everything fucked up that day as well, and we had these production company coming to do like the end of the goodbye bowling thing, and they just kicked through these windows, like our soundproof windows, so I could hear the crowd for the first time in like 10 years, like 15 years. Like, whoa. It's very surreal, but he was magical. And it's great, and he's doing all right there. He's doing all right in Kansas, and I think he might be back in January, so who knows?
Really? Do you reckon there's room for him in the team again, or do you think he's done now?
I think so.
Yeah?
I think the fact that we didn't get Craig Dawson on a permanent, we got him on a loan.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah. I love that bit of commentary as well because Winston scored the winner, didn't he? The third goal, was it? Yeah, I love the bit of commentary when it's like Winston Reid, he jumped so high, he nearly touched the sky or something like that. It's like that is the perfect bit of commentary. Sometimes it like once in a blue moon there'll be a bit of commentary where you're like, that is the perfect line you could have used, and that just absolutely gave me tingles. And many a tear was shed that night watching it from my little home in Norwich, like the little plastic I am.
It was really. I remember watching, like, leaving the ground, and you see people like blokes, like 4 or 5 in a row with a massive like advertising hoarding, which they must have just ripped off, like, and walking it down the road. I think, how are you going to get this on the train? You know, it's like, I got my bit of West Ham here, and I was gutted because I was there on my own. I could have really pocketed a shitload. You know, I didn't think about that. I'm too genuine. I'm too honest. That's the trouble, Jack.
Yeah.
Right, okay, we'll put Winnie. Yeah, exactly. Winnie Reid's in. Who's your next defender, man?
I've gone for Ginger Pele, mate. Ginger Pele, James Collins, club legend. 2 spells at the club. He had that little kind of break in the middle where he went to Villa, I think it was. I mean, we all make mistakes, don't we? We all make mistakes, but it was Villa you went to, wasn't it, Russ?
Yeah.
So even when he wasn't with us, he needed that home comfort of the claret and blue strip. That's what it was. For me, Collins, like, he gave his heart. He gave 100% every single time he played. Again, a bit like Adrian, like, he'd be the first to say he probably wasn't the most technically gifted player, at all. But absolutely, when he had a solid game, he had a solid game. And I mean, he was a little bit like, no disrespect to the lad, because obviously he is a club legend, and he's in my 11 ultimately, which is the biggest praise you can get as a player. But he is a little bit. For me, was kind of like a defensive version of Adrian in terms of it. Kind of like he'd have like a few good games in a row, and then he'd try to do a Maradona turn in his own box and fuck it up. And it's just why?
It was always a mistake. Yeah, there was always a mistake in him, bless him, wasn't there? But you know when it was going to happen, almost once a game, to be honest. But yeah,
yeah. But he's just an absolute rock. I think he kind of summed up a lot of what West Ham's about. He had all the kind of minerals to make a West Ham fan favourite. And I think there's a saying in life, something like, if you love something, set it free. If it's meant to be, it'll come back. And that's very much what happened with the old Ginger Pele. He came back. I can't remember how many seasons he wasn't with us. I don't think it was two or three, maybe, was it? Something like that.
It does, yeah, something like that. But then he came, but it seemed to be like almost like a quantum leap type thing, because he seemed to be away for not many years and he came back completely different person. He came over with he left with like ginger hair, like spiky ginger hair and clean cut. He came back with a skinhead and get excited talking about James Collins. Came back with a skinhead and a massive beard and just seemed more rugged, and he seemed more of a West Ham player. But yeah, he was great. And I love a player who gives their shirt to a kid, but purposely, rather than just sort of take it off and fling it into the crowd, he'd pinpoint someone in Chav corner, go over and hand it to the one kid and give it and he's his tattoos and stuff.
His class. It's like if you imagine like a fan playing. Do you know what I mean? If you can see a fan actually on there doing it, and in the form of a professional footballer, you just warm to them even more. I think we all saw a little bit of ourselves in James Collins, really. So top man. And now he's obviously going into punditry and whatnot. And I think he comes across like a top bloke. So he's one of them ones where I'd love to have a pint with James Collins, because I think it'd be class. Yeah. One of my friends, Will Brazier, he's a freelance presenter, and he does the official Carabao Cup show with Akinfenwa, and he did an episode with Collins, and he just texted me after him saying, absolute sound bloke. I was like, perfect, that's all I needed to hear now. Straight in me 11.
We're trying to get him on. I've got a few spies, a few Agent Effrington is trying to get him. It's so weird, honestly. Fucking like 6 months ago, like I wouldn't think of texting Matty Effington. Oh yeah, can you get James Collins on for me? Like, what?
Yeah.
The other day, you put your phone on CarPlay and like your CarPlay text, and I had Stuart Slater. I had like in my recent text, I was like, this is mental. Now I love it, but it's mental.
Yeah, right. That's what I love about YouTube, mate. It's so good.
It's crazy, isn't it? It's like meeting like people. Anyway, we'll put Ginge in. Who's your next defender? Defender 3.
Probably, I'm trying to look at my team now to see if this is probably the oldest we go back. Mate, I'm not too sure. Thomas Repka.
Oh, yeah.
Absolute nutter. He was absolute nutter, and he was from the kind of like era of players in which that was my era. That was my era when I firmly fell in love with the club. I'm talking like, you had your Christian Dailies, like Marlon Harewoods, Yossi Benayoun's, like all of them kind of players. That was my era. And Thomas Repka, I mean, I don't remember much of kind of like the first few seasons that he played. I remember like the kind of like towards the end. Like I obviously remember that final game against Fulham when he broke down in tears. And I mean that moment as well. I know we spoke about it briefly with James Collins, but that moment with Repka when he cried as he was walking off the pitch, that kind of summed up a lot of what West Ham's about as well, because West Ham are kind of like this working men's kind of like East London club that like don't come from any kind of like privileged background, like fucking hard working blokes and that. And then we do wear our heart on our sleeve, West Ham. Like we do show with that final game at Upton Park and that, like we like to be like, oh, like East London lads and whatnot, but you do see this vulnerability to West Ham fans from time to time because of the pain that we've gone through the years of supporting the club. And I think that's personified no better than in Thomas Repka.
Yeah, it's true. And he's just like, because we love a nutter, don't we? We love.
Yeah, we do.
We did then. Now I don't think Thomas Repka would get many games on the at the moment with VAR and stuff. But he just was mental. And obviously now his legendary status is even more so having retired from the game. He's in prison at the moment. I think he's honestly, if he came out, it'd be great on your podcast, honestly, because he's I think he blackmailed, didn't he do He blackmailed his ex-girlfriend with sex photos or something like that,
Oh,
allegedly.
wow.
And he used to hire cars and sell them. So honestly, check
what?
his rap sheet now. I think he's in prison again. I think he's become even more of a legend after playing for it, even more of a West Ham sort of player after leaving. Not many people do that, but he's brilliant, man. Yeah,
I didn't know that,
honestly.
mate. I didn't know that at all. No,
brilliant. Honestly, he's brilliant, and it's nice when you
Please
see
get
that.
my armband in the 11 then.
Yeah, you'd have to. There's a great story coming out. One of the fans who we do sort of away day stories things. There's one of the fans, a guy who was interviewing him in Sweden on a pre-season, and it's a really funny story about Thomas Repka. So I won't spoil it because it'll be going out after our interview. But it's very, very good. But he's brilliant. Thomas Repka, man, I just love him. Absolutely love him. Right, okay. So we got reps in. One more defender. Who's going to be your fourth defender then, Jack?
So I did struggle with this. I did struggle. I was debating Christian Daly, as I just mentioned, but I've gone for Anton Ferdinand.
Nice.
Again, from that era that I really loved. I'm not going to sit here and claim to remember much of Anton Ferdinand. I just remember kind of like the standout moments. I had a little refresher before we came on to do this. Obviously, watched that volley back against. I didn't realise, to be fair, that volley he scored against Fulham. I didn't realise that was in the same game in Repka's final game, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It's mad. And I was going through the YouTube comments, and someone was like, "That was also the same game that Dean Ashton was unveiled to the crowd." So it's just what a game that was. That's probably why that game does stick in my memory, like from all of the random games that I watched. But Anton Ferdinand, I mean, like just a solid player, absolute solid player. I think you could have gone for Rio, but I'm a bit too young for that, I guess. I don't really remember it. So I probably the player on my team, looking through it now, that I remember the least of, but the things I do remember of him really do live long in the memory. I was a big fan of Lucas Neal as well, so I was debating him, but I think Anton just takes it for me.
Yeah, and he's I mean, also, like, you say about fans, Anton's still a massive West Ham fan, and we've had him on, obviously, and he's just like a really nice bloke. And like, I mean, you get it as well with podcasts where you don't really have to talk, and the stories, and you don't, I was like, should I ask about what's it like to have a really successful brother, and follow, and he just came out with it and just spoke about it, and I was like, oh, fucking hell, I look like fucking a wicked journalist, wicked interviewer, and he just said it all. And it's like, I can sound clip that afterwards, but top bloke, honestly, love him. Right,
top man,
let's move into midfield. Right, you go through the team as you want, Jack. Go on your sheet on your computer.
Cool. I've got a player that I remember being my first favourite player, and that you mentioned him earlier. It's Matty Everington. Absolute legend. Like, obviously, my fondest, as I mentioned at the start, this is a big moment 11. So all of these have kind of like one standout moment, and mine was his performance against Ipswich in the playoff semi-final. It was probably I think we did lose the playoffs that year. I think that might be when was that against Palace? I think.
It was.
Yeah. And that was my first memory in my lifetime. I think West Ham have played 3 playoff finals, I want to say. And that was the first ever experience with the playoffs and being in the Championship, or that could have even been. Would that have been the Championship back then?
Yeah, it was. It was Championship. Well,
and that was my first experience seeing us in a different league. And although that comes with some kind of excitement because you get a lot more wins and whatnot, like the Premier League's the Premier League and the Promised Land. And Matthew Everton's performance in that second leg against Ipswich, I think we'd lost the first one. We lost or we drew. And then I think it might have been 1-0 to Ipswich in the first one, and then we turned it around and won 2-0 in the second. And that game is one of my favourite ever West Ham games. From time to time, I go back and watch it through all the way on YouTube. And Everton was the standout player. He scored the equaliser, and I believe he may have whipped the corner in for the second one. I think the second goal was Christian Daly when he got I think he lost a tooth while during the
Quite
goal or
possible.
something.
I remember afterwards because we had to give him the mic because he wanted to do he did like this sort of Braveheart like full time like on the pitch because obviously it was like and we gave him the microphone so I remember it because I had to turn the bass all the way down because he had like this big Scottish accent, it was like our freedom, that type of thing, but yeah, we're going to Cardiff, we're going to win. It's like, yeah. And it's like, yeah, no, lose to bloody Palace. I remember that.
Again,
I still can't.
When
if I still DJ like for like family, friends or whatever for like I don't know birthdays or whatever, and someone comes, oh, can you play Glad All Over? And I was like, yeah. No, never play it because that's all right. I can close my eyes and envisage a sea of yellow shirts in Cardiff bopping to Glad All Over, and it's like, do you know what?
God.
Still
Too
great
painful.
to me, that song. Too painful. But Matty is the man. I've got loads of time for that man. He's lovely. And
top guy.
Got who's next, man?
Okay, we're getting to the more sort of star players now. No disrespect to the other people listed. Dimitri Payet, I have to. And it leaves a sour taste in my mouth. It really does leave a sour taste in my mouth because obviously the way in which he forced that move, it's just one of them ones where you need to leave a club in the manner that he left the club and still be considered as one of the best ever. You need to be another level above everyone else because to put him into this team, like it's almost like sacrilege as a West Ham fan. Because I mean, he's in over Noble, which is mental to say. When I say that out loud, that's mental. Noble is the club legend. He's Mr. West Ham. I think the reason why I just quickly explain why Noble's not in is because he's too much of the fabric of the club. So it's almost too obvious. Like, do you know what I mean?
It's like you forget about him. Do you know what I mean? It's like, because it's like he's been always there. I mean, particularly for your sort of fan career.
Yeah,
most of it has been Mark Noble has been in the team or the squad. Do you know what I mean? So
yeah. So no disrespect to Noble, he's almost ingrained in it. It's kind of like when somebody goes, "Do you want milk or sugar in your tea?" And they never ask if you want the tea bag. Mark Noble is the tea that's already in. so you don't need to mention that. And then, Dimitri Payet, mate, it's just that last season at the Bowling Ground, it was just unreal. I think. I was there for when he scored the free kick against, I think it was Crystal Palace. You know that crazy one where it dips and just touches the crossbar on the way, and I think it does. Yeah. And then I was there again the season after, obviously just before it all went sour, when he scored that mazy run, the solo run against Borough, and he sat like 4 or 5 Borough players down on their ass. And it was just, oh my God, it was just how often do West Ham get a player like that?
No,
and then I think every West Ham player going into he was with us when the Euros started. And I think every West Ham player kind of knew that he was going to have an insane Euros. And although he was doing bits for West Ham, I don't think the rest of the world kind of knew how well the Payet was going to. And I think France, obviously, it was in France, I think. So France kicked the tournament off, and Payet scored on opening night. I remember, like late on, and that was just like, he is our player. I remember Slaven Bilic stood on the table in the punditry room, just jumping up and down. I was like, when does this happen to West Ham? No. How have we got him? It was crazy. So as much as obviously he broke my heart when he left in the manner that he left, and it definitely broke Slaven's heart, as we know from that famous press conference. But he just has to be in there, Russ. There's just no one that comes really well. There's one name I'll get to later, but there's as far as that midfield go, there's just an absolute maestro. Yeah.
No, having the we had the man. Do you know what I mean? We had pride. We had inform. He was the guy that was top of all the fantasy football league teams, and it was like he was our player. And it was like weird. It was just strange. I remember getting congratulated in a pub watching that France game. The goal went in. When Russ slapping me on the back, I was like, "Yeah, I was instrumental in that transfer from Marseille. Clearly, I put a lot of effort in. Thanks, mate." But no, it's he was. I just think you get people like that. You do literally get people like that once in a generation. I don't think we'll have a. Well, who knows? We may have another Ballon d'Or nominee eventually.
Ben Rama.
Who knows? He got a bit bad because this will come out like 2 days after the transfer deadline, and he's probably broken both legs and he can't play. He's not coming to us, but it doesn't matter.
Yeah,
we can dream as we are because we're West Ham fans, right? Okay, we put Dimmy in. Who's next, man?
I've gone for Scott Parker, purely just because Hammer of the Year 3 years in a row. I mean, it does surprise me a little bit. I kind of get it, but it surprises me when West Ham fans are anti Scott Parker because obviously I went to Tottenham and that. But for what he did for that team, like how many? I don't know if there's ever been another player that's got Hammer of the Year 3 years in a row. Is there? Like I think that
I don't think so. It's well before my age. It could be Billy Bonds or Bobby Moore. But even if so, he's in the same ilk as Billy Bonds and Bobby Moore. That's what I mean. It's not even I know what you mean, though. It winds me up.
I don't think you can judge somebody for wanting to better their career. Like there's more of a reason to despise Payet. You give us one beautiful year and 1.5, and then he's left and pushed through that transfer. Obviously, Jermaine Defoe was people said he was the rat that jumped the sinking ship and whatnot. You can justify you having a bit of a distaste for him. Parker, I don't think, I might be wrong here, and I'm sure the fans will let me know in the comments, but I don't think Parker ever pushed through a transfer. I think he was always a model professional. He could have left way before he left West Ham. He could have and to want to better his career and go to Tottenham, who were arguably better at the time, and you could argue still are. But what's wrong with that? I think at the time as well, he'd broken in through to that England setup. I think he'd worn the armband a couple of times. I'm not entirely sure on that, but I think maybe he had the armband on a couple of times, which could have got that wrong. But what a player! What absolute pro. So he's in
I
there
agree.
for me.
No, I agree. It winds me up because I think, but also I think it's more of like an old-fashioned perception. Oh yeah, you should have gone top. You could have gone anyone, but then again, like everyone was like literally like wishing Declan Rice out the door this transfer window. Oh, if he goes to Chelsea, fair play. What? It's like it's like you have there is so many parallels with that and Scott Parker, and what winds me up as well. When we revere people in sort of the Martin Peters, God bless his soul and stuff. Martin Peters left to go to Tottenham. Bobby Moore was going to go as well, and to Arsenal or Tottenham. And it's like, but Parker, who'd given us 3 years, he'd basically carried that shit team on his back. I'd see him out the players' lounge sometimes, like literally crawl out, because he'd put so much effort in. Oh, just warm me up,
top man. And I just love the way he played. Even like the little things, like shirt tucked into the shorts, like the little curtain hair or the sweep over haircut. He seemed like an old-fashioned footballer that had come back as a regen for the new times. And absolutely. I'd love to shake that man's hand. I'd go for a pint with Thomas Repka. And James Collins, but with Scott Parker, I'd just have to shake his hand and go, "Thank you, sir," and that would be enough.
I'd love
for me.
to ruffle his hair. I don't know. He's just got that hair, Maybe I'm not used to it anymore now. I used to having hair like that, but just to ruffle his hair because, obviously, he cares. So obviously, when Fulham went up and there was that. And he's like after match interview, and they dubbed it to the streets meme, which is brilliant. But he's just like, I just think he's so genuine. He's such a genuine bloke, and I just think, I'd love him back one day. I'd love him back. Yeah. There we go. I've said it. Right. Okay. Scott Parker. Who is next then, Jack?
So obviously, I know you go for a 4-4-2 format on here, but I struggled so much with trying to fit three forwards in that I've actually put the Canio there. I mean, he could play on the wing from time to time. So that's I've put him in there to give me 2 more options up top. Now, mate, you say you've done 200 episodes of this. I'd be surprised if he wasn't in 190 of them. Do you know what I mean? Like he is my favourite West Ham player ever. He's a lot of West Ham fans' favourite players ever. Got a bit of a story about Di Canio. When I was first falling in love with football, but before I'd gone to my first game and whatnot, and I was just a little kid, and every Christmas I was just getting loads of West Ham stuff. Like my mum sent me a video the other day of me at Christmas, and I'm opening these presents, and I'm just looking at Dad, and I'm going, more West Ham, Dad, and like everything is just West Ham, West Ham, West Ham. And I remember it was the first year. Must have been about 11, something like that. The first year I'd ever bought my dad a present. Because when you're a kid and like one of your parents will buy your other parent a present and say it's from you, but it's not really from you. This is the first year I'd saved up some pocket money and I bought my dad a present. And them footballers with the big bobble heads, the tiny little things like that.
Yeah.
So at the time, to buy them, they came in packets. You couldn't see which one you were getting. It was all part of like the random like selection of what one you're getting. So I bought my dad, it was like £3 or £4 from like Kerosin's Toys or something, and on Christmas Day, and he opened it, and we got the Canio. And for a little kid, like getting that out of, I think there's like 80 or 90 players you could have got. And we got the Canio, and I've got it here. It sits on my desk with me now. Absolute class. So
you could probably sell that. It's probably worth something now.
Probably, and I think it's got a little fold on it, because I don't know if you can see that. Right, you probably can't see it, but the West Ham badge is actually printed upside down. So,
even more so. That's like, even more so. Like, we're worth some beans. But I love that. Yeah, I know. Yeah, sadly, my daughter's not in that. She's still. Daddy buys the presents for Mummy for Christmas. Thank God for Amazon Prime Day. That's all I'm saying. There we go. Yeah. But yeah, sure, I know it's in it. I love stuff that happens. But yeah, Paolo was just a man, wasn't he? Just loved him.
We could sit here and talk about him all day, but I'm sure that's pretty much what you've had 200 episodes of it, mate. So I'll spare you and just say, Canio's in there. He's in there.
Yeah, no, he's in mine, and he was an entertainer, wasn't he? We watched, it's like you go to football, you it's for the skill, but you like to be entertained, and there was no one better. No one better.
No,
Same as you.
Even when he's sitting on the floor and he's demanding to be subbed off and stuff, even like stuff like that. It's just like that's worth its weight in gold when it comes to a football ticket. Like, brilliant.
It's a soap opera. You were excited, a bit like Pyatt in there. I mean, you were excited to go to the game because you didn't know what Pyatt was going to do with a ball. In the same way, in that late 90s, early 2000s. You went to the game because you were excited because you know what was going to happen at all, whether it was going to be Di Canio was going to have a worldie or he was going to, like, as you said, sit on the ball. And it was almost like, and what made me laugh, I was watching that Bradford City game again, and where sort of like the whole remit rather of part of Di Canio came through. He's sublime, he was an idiot, he was da-da-da. And it was like when they started singing, I mean, obviously he had the song, same as Pyatt, they have a song, I love a player with a good song. And it was almost like it was like part of a game, and like a computer game. He was energizing himself, like full health again. He's like, I will play on, I will play on. It's like, and it's just I loved him. He was absolutely brilliant. So and I know you've got tattoos, and I respect anyone who gets tattoos because I'm so phobic of needles. And I once passed out my BCG test. Not even like the test, like the staple gun thing. Yeah. And I knocked out the poor little nurse, bless her. God, the captain of the first 15 football rugby team, knocking the nurse. Yeah. So, and he's got a tattoo, West Ham tattoo. And he's not even around these parts. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Oh, is that it? Has he got it on his back?
I don't know where it is. I saw a picture of it, but didn't see what body part. I just saw the flesh. But no, No, okay, right. Good idea putting him right on that side, because I think then it means you free up some strikers. Right, who's your first striker then, Jack?
I've gone for Carlos Tevez. Only played 20, 30 games for us, somewhere in that region. I was surprised when I looked this up this morning that it actually only scored 7 goals. Like, I think a lot of people probably imagine it to be a lot more, just because of how intense that period was that he did. He single-handedly kept us up that year, really, didn't he? Like, just turning it on. I think his first again, you mentioned football being a soap opera, and there's no better way to sum it up as that, to be fair. And Tevez was the protagonist in that soap opera, because first goal I think he scored was the free kick against Tottenham. Was it? Yep. And then he ran in the crowd and so it's like, what better way to announce yourself to the West Ham faithful, scoring a goal like that, and then tapped it topped it all off with that goal against Man United at Old Trafford that kept us up on the last day of the season. And I think that was probably because did Tevez go to Man U and then Man City?
Yeah.
So that would have been really what kind of like I think made Fergie go, oh, we need a bit of that in ours. He gave everything. He had the skill and the talent of somebody like Payet, but then he was also that kind of like bulldog approach of somebody like a Repka and whatnot. He had it all. And I mean, you need an Argentinian like that somewhere in the squad. That kind of like tough one.
Of course, man. We interviewed a lot of people, a lot of players around that time where they just like these two Argentinian internationals like dumped in like Chadwell Heath, and and I remember I think it was Anton tells a great story about Carlos and how he didn't. I mean, I think Mascherano. I think he was doing English lessons. Carlos wasn't really bothered about that. He just basically employed a translator. And so, but he really wanted to be part of the boys, so much so they're having a night out. I know China Whites or something, quite possibly by then. And Carlos was there with his interpreter on the dance floor, and so he's giving it some like sweating bucket, like probably in an Argentinian tango, that clever footwork. And this interpreter's on the dance floor, as the third wheel with like Anton on that lot as well. It's like, oh, I can just imagine. It's so funny, but you're right. He didn't score a lot of goals, but they're very important. And I remember going a few games before, he was like everything was hitting the bar or just missing, and that goal it was like a release. And he was like, apparently after that goal, he was like, "Fuck, this is what I understand what West Ham's about now." And he brought back the crossed irons.
Right.
We didn't do that for years. We did it, I think, like in the 70s and something like that. But I don't remember doing it until after he'd left and gone to Man United, and then did it when they came out. And I was like, oh yeah. He'll always have that blessing.
And I remember I went to West Ham v Man City on the final day of the season one year when we were playing when Tevez was at City. He came on for City. I think he came on the second half, or he went off. And West Ham fans adored him. Like, we all stood on our feet, like giving him a round of applause. And he's playing for a different club at the time. And I think, again, another one of these ones where I don't know if my memory kind of romanticizes it a bit more looking back, but I think he took off his top at the end and he put a West Ham top on and just walked around and then was like clapping when everyone was getting. I was just like that. What a moment! What a man! Like, he is West Ham personified. How many people put him in their teams?
Quite a few from the. I mean, I usually have my spreadsheet up today, but no, quite a few, because he's again for like that sort of it's a generational thing. So what he brought for that period, that Great Escape period, you know, it was exciting times. You know what I mean? And so for him, it was just like, I just thought he was, again, he's like, I remember when he first joined, he was really unfit, and obviously Pardew, and then he left, and then Curbs came in, and Curbs basically just told him to stop running, because he was like running around like a blue-ass fly. He's like, stay up front, a bit like what Antonio does now. Don't come this way. You stay up there. We'll kick the ball to you, and then you do your thing, and it just works. But he was special. And at an interview the other week, he was like saying that the only team he'd come back for in Europe would be West Ham.
Did he really?
Yeah. He must love that pie and mash. Must love that pie and mash. But no, I mean, you've played for City. I think he won the league at City. He won stuff at Man United. He played in Juventus. Nope, I want to come back to it wouldn't be Gunner Channel, but he'd go back to Rush Green now. So he'd be all lost at the Moby Dick pub. But so he's a good man. No, great man. Okay, right, Carlitos. Who's the last piece of this puzzle?
The last guy, special place in my heart for this man, Dean Ashton. I mean, I'm from Norwich, lived in my whole life. We got him from Norwich, and there was already a little bit of a buzz in the air for Dean. I think with a lot of these players, like saying about Anton Ferdinand, I didn't have much knowledge of him. My memories aren't too strong, but with Dean, I kind of felt like, although he was already playing in the Prem, I believe, with Norwich, I kind of feel like I had a little bit of inside knowledge on him, because all my friends were Norwich fans, and I'd go to Carrow Road a fair bit, and I'd see him, and it was just, when we signed him, it was just I kind of felt like you know the arrogance that's in us all somewhere, where you hear a song or a band and you like it, and then it becomes popular, and you're like, well, I actually heard this song like a few months before, like based on nothing. All you've done is listen to a song. But I kind of got this with Dean Ashton, and when he signed, I had this. I went home. I'd been playing at the park and I'd fallen over. I'd tripped over like my sister or something, and I thought I'd broken my wrist. And I went home. I was crying. I said to my mum, I went, "Mum, I've broken my wrist." And she went, "You haven't," because I was a bit of a hypochondriac anyway. I still am to this day. Sure, but she went, I'll take you to get an X-ray. And she went, "And if you have, I'll buy you the new West Ham kit." So on the way there, I'm really just hoping. I'm trying to move it in the back of the car, trying to think. I wonder if I can snap it myself. And I went to the hospital, and as luck would have it, I did. I'd broken my wrist, so it was in a plaster cast for 6 weeks. And then my mum bought me the kit, the new West Ham kit, and I had Dean Ashton on the back. And that's probably one of my fondest West Ham memories, to be fair. And then that's before it even really kind of kicked the ball. And then we all know what happened with him. Obviously, tragically, his career was cut short. Horrible, really, because he could have literally been a star man for England. Like, there was no ceiling really on where he could go. And you remember that overhead kick? I think he scored against United. Was it?
Yep.
Yeah, and then he came back. I mentioned Mark Noble's testimonial earlier on. Scored an overhead kick in. He's twice the size as he was when he was a player, but he's still scoring overhead kicks. So that just confirms, really, like, if he'd carried on as a pro, he would have been doing that in the peak of his fitness and physical fitness. So fair play to the man. I sometimes see him around as well, because I think he lives on the outskirts of Norwich. Or at least he did before I know he's really getting into kind of like commentary or punditry and whatnot now. But I used to see him in the gym from time to time, and that was a real weird moment for me. That was a real weird, like, he's personified a lot of my love for West Ham growing up. Everyone's got that one player that just it could be the most random player ever. It could be a Christian Daly or someone, but
Pete
everyone has that. Oh,
Pete
yeah,
Butler.
fair. Yeah, so everyone has that one, but Dean Ashton was just my one. I don't think he in that team of 11. He's the best player that was in there when you've got your Payets and Tevez and whatnot. But he's certainly up there, and he's
definitely.
It's just beautiful memories for me, mate. Really.
Yeah, no, definitely. No, it is. Do you ever get nervous when you're doing podcasts when if you like with guests and stuff? Do you ever like say that Dean Ashton? Do you get like, oh shit, who's like, oh dear, I'm getting nervous today?
Yeah. So yeah, sometimes, yeah. I've had a few on where it's like, yeah, I kind of get more nervous when not of the stature really, but of somebody that's like who does. It sounds weird, but for somebody who does an art or a profession that I admire, if that makes sense.
Sure.
So,
yeah.
So for example, obviously when I first interviewed Gervais, that was a big moment. I was really nervous then. But more recently, the more you do, the less you kind of become accustomed to it, and you don't get as nervous. But we had Alex Zane on. I don't know if you know. If you know of Alex Zane.
That one. Yeah.
Yeah, and he's not necessarily the biggest star in the world, but because he's an interviewer, because he's a presenter, he came with a book full of research on me, and I was like, wow, he's probably done more research on me than I have on him, and he's going to be judging me for what I'm doing. So yeah, I was very nervous for him. Do you get nervous or?
I did. I mean, I used to get nervous. With players, I don't get. The only person I ever got nervous for was Pete Butler, because he was the first person. He's the first player I ever met when I was a kid, and they used to do junior Hammer birthday parties at the ground.
Right.
And I met him, and so it was like amazing, because also he comes with like this backstory where I get nervous when you not nervous, but I have to make sure when I'm interviewing the players that I've got, how many games they played, how many goals, because it's like it's their career, isn't it? So it's like, and if you make a mistake, don't make a mistake, but you might. And also, you're right. I mean, people like that, like Trevor Sinclair and John Artson and people like that, they do this all the time. You know what I mean? I'm not a, I'm just, I'm just a bloke, So it's like, and it's a little bit with you, to be honest, a little bit with you, because it's like, it's because this is what you do for a job, and it's like, okay, well, it's like, not that I wouldn't say you go, look at, what's he got there, what mics he got, but it's not like that. But it's just, as you said, it's like it's with Alex Zane, he's an interviewer, so you'll be like, shit, I need to make sure. As you said, once you're used to it, I mean, 200 obviously, I really don't just, it doesn't matter, it doesn't bother me now. It's really nice. You can just have a chat with anyone. And everyone's so nice. And when you talk about something like neutral, like if I was talking about something I didn't have any knowledge of at all, then I'd be like shitting myself, because it's West Ham.
Right.
I know enough to get by, and it's like
inside out, really. Yeah,
exactly, man. Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's it, man. That's it. Thank you so much for your time. An hour has flown by without really blinking, so thank you so much, man.
Thanks for having me on, mate. It's been an absolute privilege to be on. As I say, I've been binge watching quite a few, and your rapport with guests and stuff is has just been lovely. So I know it'd be a lovely hour of just chatting through. I like I said to you, mate, I've been a West Ham fan my whole life. Watch every single game on. If I'm not there, I'm watching it on TV. But my knowledge of football, I can't claim to be that knowledgeable about it. Do you know what I mean? So that's why I went for a big moment 11, just moments that stuck out for me. So there we go, mate. There we go.
But that's why it's important. It's important because it's moments that mean something to you, and that's what it is. No matter who it is, whether it is Di Canio, whether it's Jonathan Spector, whether it's, I don't know, there's moments which associate themselves. But no, man, it's been an absolute pleasure. I appreciate you're a really busy man, so it's taken an hour. I really appreciate it. And obviously, goes without saying, make sure you subscribe to go and listen to the podcast, man. The Happy Hour Pod is brilliant. Honestly, I do not miss an episode. And until next time, for me and Jack, take care, everyone. Stay safe, cover your irons, and we'll see you again very, very soon. Take care, everyone. Bye bye.